Okay, so have you ever felt like you're trying to, stay on top of all the latest trends in like health and nutrition, but you're just like overwhelmed with information, like everybody's always talking about the next big thing?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a constant influx of information. It's easy to get lost.
Exactly. And that's why we're here,
Right.
right? We're diving deep into this whole world of future superfoods to cut through all that noise and give you the insights you really need. So think of this as your shortcut. We've gone through tons of reports, articles, even some predictions for like what's going to be on our plates in 2025.
Yeah, and we've got some really cool sources for today. We're going to be looking at a report that talks about, foods that are crucial for our future, like not just for us, but at the planet too. And then we're going to dive into some like crazy innovative stuff, almost like science fiction from the MIT press reader.
Ooh, science fiction always fun.
Yeah, it's out there. And then we're going to bring it all back down to earth with a look at Nature's Zest's predictions for superfoods in 2025. So we're covering a lot of ground here, and we're going to make sure you understand it all.
Speaking of understanding things and getting to the heart of it all, I want to mention our YouTube channel, Necessary Cookies. If you're the kind of person who loves digging deep, understanding the why behind the what, and you're always looking for those little insights that help you grow, then you got to check it out.
Absolutely. We're all about sharing that valuable knowledge, giving you that motivation, sparking inspiration, offering new ideas and perspectives, like all the stuff that can really help you on your journey to wisdom and success in every part of your life. It's all about becoming the best version of yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So think of this deep dive as just a taste of what you'll find on Necessary Cookies. Make sure you subscribe. It's your go-to resource for unlocking your full potential.
It's not just about getting more information,
Yeah.
It's about truly understanding it and finding that spark that pushes you to grow.
Okay, so now that we've got that covered, let's dive into these superfoods. So first question, why are we even talking about future foods? What's the big deal?
Well, the BBC article pointed out something really interesting. Our global food system right now depends heavily on just 3 crops: rice, maize, and wheat. They make up a huge chunk of our plant-based calories. And while they do provide energy, they don't offer the full range of vitamins and minerals that our bodies need.
Yeah, it's not just about eating enough, but eating the right things. And the article also mentioned the environmental impact of relying on just a few crops.
Exactly. It's like putting all our eggs in one basket. This approach can hurt the soil, use up a lot of resources, and decrease biodiversity, which makes our food supply vulnerable to things like climate change and diseases.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about specific foods. First up is moringa. The BBC article called it the miracle tree.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. What's cool about moringa is how versatile it is. It grows super fast, tolerates drought, and has been used for centuries in Ayurvedic medicine. Plus, the leaves are packed with vitamins A and C, calcium and potassium.
So it's not just some rare plant. I mean, even Priya, too, the dietitian in the article, mentioned eating it in a curry in Sri Lanka. She said you can use it in so many ways. Broths, curries, soups, even grind it into powder for smoothies and teas.
And looking ahead to 2025, Nature's Zest also calls out moringa as a superfood. They highlight its vitamin C, iron, calcium, and protein content, as well as its potential anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties.
Okay, so what about wakame seaweed as a future food? Tell me more.
Wakame has been a staple in Japan forever. The BBC article talked about how it was used for things like offerings and even taxes in the past. But what's really important now is its sustainability. It can be harvested year-round without any fertilizers or pesticides, just dried naturally in the sun.
Plus, it has that umami flavor that everyone loves, and it's one of the few plant-based sources of EPA and omega-3 fatty acid that's usually found in fish.
Right. Omega-3s are so important for our heart and brain health. This makes wakame a great option for anyone on a plant-based diet. The article also mentioned fucoidan, which is a type of fiber in wakame. Early research suggests it could help lower blood pressure and might even have some anti-tumor effects.
Priya, too, seems to be a fan. She said she ate it a lot in Hong Kong and that it's a good source of iodine and omega-3s. But she also reminds us to be mindful of iodine levels and the potential for heavy metals in seafood.
That's a good point. It's about being aware of both the benefits and the risks.
Okay, next up we have Nopal's cactus. I've seen this in Mexican food. But is it really a future superfood?
It's definitely used a lot in Mexican cuisine. The leaves, fruit, and even the pads, which are called cladodes, can be eaten in so many ways. Raw, cooked, juiced, even made into jam. And it grows easily in different climates.
And there's some research suggesting it could have health benefits, right? The article mentions studies about its potential to help with fat excretion and blood sugar levels for people with type 2 diabetes, and maybe even help with hangovers.
There have been some initial studies, but as Priya 2 pointed out, we need more research. And there can be side effects for some people, like digestive issues. It's important to be cautious and not get carried away by early findings.
All right, let's switch to grains. Fonio is next. The BBC called it the new couscous.
What's fascinating about Fonio is its history. It's been around for over 5,000 years. It was even grown in ancient Egypt. It's drought-resistant, has a super short growing cycle, just 60 to 70 days, and it's gluten-free.
Plus, it's a good source of iron, zinc, and magnesium. The BBC mentioned you can use it like couscous or rice, and even make beer with it. And with that new mill in Senegal, it could be exported more widely.
Yeah, that's a big step towards making it more accessible globally. Priya, too, is a big fan. She highlights its drought resistance as a major plus, especially with climate change. Zest also lists it as a superfood to watch in 2025, emphasizing its fiber and amino acid content.
Another one from the BBC is bambra. It's a legume that they said tastes like a less oily, sweeter peanut.
That's a pretty good description. What's great about bambra is its sustainability. It can grow in poor soil and actually improves soil fertility through nitrogen fixation. It's used in a variety of dishes across Africa and Asia, boiled, roasted, fried, even ground into flour.
And it's a complete protein, meaning it has all the essential amino acids. Priya, too, thinks it has a lot of potential for plant-based diets and for future food security.
Absolutely. Its nutrition, combined with its ability to grow in tough conditions, makes it a strong contender.
Now let's shift gears and look at what Nature's Zest is predicting for 2025. They have sea moss at the top of their list. It's been getting a lot of attention lately.
And for good reason. They highlight its incredible mineral content, over 90 essential minerals, including iodine, potassium, and magnesium. All those minerals can support thyroid health, boost immunity, and promote healthy skin.
And it comes in gel and powder form, so you can easily add it to smoothies, soups, even baked goods.
Exactly. It's a convenient way to up your mineral intake.
Next up from Nature's Zest are tiger nuts. They aren't really nuts, though, are they?
Nope, they're tubers, kind of like potatoes. Nature's Zest mentions that they've been eaten for centuries in Mediterranean and African cultures. They're a good source of fiber, prebiotics, and healthy fats.
They also have a naturally sweet taste and a nice crunch, making them a good snack. Plus, they can be used for dairy-free milk and might help with gut health and blood sugar levels.
It's a pretty good combination.
Yeah.
Taste, texture, and health benefit.
Fermented garlic sounds interesting.
It is. The fermentation process changes regular garlic, giving it a softer texture, sweeter flavor. And according to Nature's, Zest even boosts its nutritional value. It becomes richer in antioxidants and might help with heart health, inflammation, and immunity.
That unique savory sweet flavor sounds like it could add a lot to dishes. You could use it in sauces, spreads, marinades.
It's definitely a versatile ingredient.
Spirulina also makes their list. That blue-green algae comes up a lot when we talk about future foods.
And for good reason. Nature's Zest calls it one of the most nutrient-dense foods out there. It's a great source of plant-based protein, vitamins, minerals, and that antioxidant called phycocyanin.
You can get it in powder or tablet form, making it easy to add to smoothies and salads. But the MIT press reader did mention some warnings about potential toxins and allergies if you consume too much.
That's a good reminder that even with superfoods, moderation is key.
Amaranth is another one. They say it's an ancient grain making a comeback.
Yep, it's gluten-free, high in protein, and a good source of magnesium, iron, and fiber. And its nutty flavor makes it a versatile substitute for other grains and bowls, soups, even desserts.
Sounds like a great option for people with dietary restrictions or anyone looking for a healthy alternative.
It is.
What about baobab?
Baobab comes from the baobab fruit, and Nature's Zest calls it a nutritional powerhouse. It's packed with vitamin C, antioxidants, and fiber, which are great for digestion, immunity, and even skin health. It has a tangy flavor that works well in smoothies, yogurt, and baking.
Okay, and last but not least, we have hemp seeds. Nature's Zest highlights their balanced omega fatty acids and plant-based protein.
They're also a good source of minerals like zinc and magnesium. Their mild, nutty flavor makes them easy to add to salads, porridge, and even plant-based milk.
And lastly, they mention purple sweet potatoes, known for their vibrant color.
That color comes from anthocyanin antioxidants, which are linked to brain health and reduced inflammation. They're a delicious and visually appealing way to get more nutrients.
Wow, that's a lot of interesting foods. But the MIT press reader also talked about some more unusual options like cockroach milk.
Yeah, cockroach milk, it definitely grabs your attention. But while it is high in protein, the practicality of getting it makes it unlikely to become mainstream. You'd have to kill a lot of cockroaches for a tiny amount of milk.
Okay, I think I'll pass on that one. What about the meal in a pill?
The idea of getting all your nutrients in one pill is fascinating, but the technology isn't there yet. It would take a lot of pills to meet all our needs, so for now it's still science fiction.
Golden rice seems a bit more realistic.
It is. It's genetically modified to produce beta-carotene, which our bodies convert to vitamin A. The goal is to address vitamin A deficiency. But it's been controversial because of the whole GMO debate.
And then they talked about some pretty extreme modifications to farm animals, like the broiler chicken and the cow of tomorrow.
Yeah, those examples raise a lot of ethical questions about how far we should go in manipulating nature.
Algaculture humans with algae. That sounds pretty far out there.
It's a highly speculative idea. The thought of genetically enhancing humans with algae for photosynthesis is definitely interesting, but purely theoretical at this point.
And lastly, DNA, personalized superfoods.
The idea of customizing food based on your genes is gaining traction. The MIT press reader even mentioned a restaurant called Sushi Singularity that's doing something like that. It's still early days, but it shows the potential for truly personalized nutrition.
So we've gone from ancient grains to futuristic concepts. What are the key takeaways here?
I think the future of food is all about diversity. We need foods that are both nutritious and sustainable. We're rediscovering ancient crops and exploring cutting-edge solutions. And many of these options offer more than just calories. They provide specific nutrients that can benefit our health.
So you've heard about Fonio CMOS personalized nutrition. These are just a few examples of the possibilities for a healthier future. And if you want to keep exploring these kinds of topics and gain valuable insights, motivation, and inspiration, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Necessary Cookies.
It's the best way to stay connected and unlock your full potential.
So here's a final thought. As all these new food options become available, how do you see your own diet evolving in the future? It's something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was a pleasure diving in with you.
Until next time, stay curious
and keep exploring.